Hi everyone, I'm Fiona Langsharp, IBCLC and team member of the Perinatal Care Online Conference 2013. I'm here today with Dr. Timothy Moss, and we're discussing his presentation that he'll be presenting at our conference. Hi Tim, I just want to ask you, how did you first become involved in really studying this work, inflammation and preterm birth?
Hi Fiona, I have always been interested in how the prenatal environment affects postnatal well-being. I was lucky enough as a postdoc to work with Alan Jobe from Cincinnati, a neonatologist, and we were interested in how we might better protect preterm babies from respiratory disease. And we knew of associations between inflammation and alterations in risk of babies' lung disease. We had a long-standing collaboration working using sheep and managed to develop a suitable animal model where we could start to look at this. I'm a card-carrying physiologist, so most of my work is animal experimentation, and sheep are particularly good for that.
Well, that's amazing how it led you to preterm, working with animals. So can you tell us, what would you say to healthcare professionals? What will they learn from your presentation?
Well, hopefully people will get an understanding of how perinatal inflammation before birth, but also a little bit around the time of birth afterwards, how that impacts on development, particularly of the fetus, and how that alters the risk of neonatal disease. There's a growing amount of clinical data showing that exposure to inflammation before birth affects health. I hope to bring some of the basic science, the animal research that I think is helping to drive those clinical investigations, but is also feeding off observations from the clinic and hoping to identify the underlying mechanisms so that we might be able to perhaps identify some treatments for these babies.
Well, that sounds awesome. I'm really looking forward to hearing more and your full presentation. And lastly, Tim, can you tell me what outcomes have you seen from a personal point of view from your work?
Well, the initial work that I did in this sort of inflammation, preterm birth, respiratory disease spaces sort of changed the way that we think about lung development and maturation around the time of birth. So it's had an impact from that point of view. We are seeing now an appreciation by clinicians that preterm babies are not all the same. There's no such thing as a normal preterm baby, and the prenatal environment is quite variable for those babies, and those variable environments result in babies with unique physiology, perhaps, unique development, that means they're all a little bit different and need to be treated a little bit differently depending on what they've been exposed to before birth.
Well, that is great. I'm certainly looking forward to hearing more, as it's such a necessary work that you're doing for all of our preterm babies around the world. Well, thank you again, Tim. This concludes our interview with Dr. Timothy Moss. Please visit us at www.goldperinatal.com for more information on registering for Dr. Timothy Moss's presentation and for dates and other presentations at our conference. Thank you again.